was that the university then actually was living in a studio which actually had a sauna. So,
Okay.
so, so even all the many small flats will have sauna as well. So kind of way was part of the
Okay.
culture, I suppose. But yeah, well, it's cool thing to have.
Yes, yes, yes,
Well,
yes, yes. And there is there are few very famous things about Finland in the US. One is, of course, sauna. It's the house of sauna, the and the sauna capital of the world, so to say. And another thing is it's the technology hub, And so tell me a little bit about technology hub. How
well, 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 let's say that the situation all the varies between the cities. So that's well, so yes, all the bigger cities will do have well technology hubs or at least one. Well, I guess depends how you define then what kind of what is the technology hub,
Mhm.
well, for instance, here in Tampere, where well, this second biggest city where I'm living nowadays, then well, there's a several for instance, then uh, Nokia during the let's say the well the when all the when Nokia was still well the really big one, then well pretty much occupied one of the hubs below Nokia. Well, then they were well these subcontract with companies. Then well in the same neighborhood. Well, I used to work there. Then well in capital region Helsinki and then around Helsinki, then there are several. Uh, but well, I suppose the trend lately has been maybe then more kind of a well what people are moving out from those hubs. So well after COVID, then well kind of this working from home or working remotely, then well that became a standard and I will know that well then there have been technology companies that actually have been moving into let's say smaller well, office space then just because they don't need well that much space at the hub anymore. Since most of the people are working from home most of the time, so that will probably well there's never such a situation that everybody would be coming to the office at the same time. So
Right.
and I know that this all the office space uh, real estate uh, providers or companies have been struggling a bit that their rental income has been going down well because of this uh, remote working trend lately. But still, well, yeah. Well, then now my current role then well kind of as the now well the head of the well angel syndicate or the investment venture company then well, we used to have a small office at the local startup hub,
Hmm.
but most of the startups are technology startups. Well, anyway, but then, well, then, but then we then changed our well membership to kind of what they call virtual membership, so that basically sign off the rental contract for that office space, and then. Well, basically, no, for the last half a year, they've been using meeting rooms, and then well, and well, the mail still goes there, but well, didn't really see a need to well then pay for the actual office space well, because well the original idea that well we would get the deal flow or better deal flow if we are there uh, or in the middle of those startups then wasn't really working well. That the well, it still well it didn't increase the quality of the startups. Let's put it this way. So
Yeah.
so. Uh, so then, well, that will basically unnecessary cost. So that then let's well then save that money for the investments. But then anyway, uh, I guess in the well the let's say the peak days of Nokia, then well I suppose then well Finland overall was well more of a technology hub as a country than nowadays. That well it's still well I'd say that the well economy well could be doing better well these days. So that
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm like a few miles away from the Bell Labs, the Nokia
okay, so yeah,
headquarters.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So where Alexander Graham Bell actually invented
right.
the phone, and they have a museum inside, and I was actually covering it for they were selling their machinery because Apple was actually taking over.
Okay, ah, yeah,
Yeah, so it's in New Jersey, and it was a hell of a journey, emotional journey, seeing the evolution of telephone, and then the most amazing piece of equipment, that a human eye can see. So yeah, of course, that's that. But when I meant about Helsinki is that again, perception is always bigger than reality. What the perception, of course, New York also has. I'm in New York, so New York also has this problem that you just
mm,
mentioned about commercial real estate, and because post COVID everything has gone remote, and with the
yeah, mm,
attach of Zoom into and Slack. Slack was there, Zoom was there, but with COVID, they just jumped into limelight. And
true,
yeah, so the real estate, the commercial real estate has declined to a level where they are converting it into affordable housing, which is a good thing, a blessing in disguise. And suddenly, these low income are living in skyscrapers. So
yeah,
yeah. So, but what I meant with Helsinki being the technology hub was mostly in context of a startup hub,
right,
in Europe, so to say, that the government is really providing a conducive environment, especially when you speak about remote places and sharing the workspace, so to say.
sure, yes. There's
I
actually the actually well place that used to be a hospital, which was then converted to a startup hub, well, in Helsinki. Well, and well, it is bigger than well than the one we have here in Tampere. Yeah, well, we do have portfolio companies that actually that are still there in Helsinki. Well, there's well kind of a competition between the cities. Of course, then most of the international talent well stays in Helsinki area. So that well well every time when I'm going there or visiting that well hub in Helsinki, then well, the atmosphere, well, there's a lot more energy in the air than what you can feel here. So that there's simply not enough decent startups in Tampere region, unfortunately.
Mhm.
Uh, but still, well, Tampere and Helsinki are so close to each other that well, doesn't really then well matter too much. The kind of fact that which city well you have your team or there are actually startups that will are having then well founders even well in both cities. Then well coming together whenever needed, but then maybe then most of the time then working remotely. But still, well, I'd say the uh, I haven't seen. I would like to see more good ideas or good let's say new initiatives well, let's say for research projects then will turn into a startup then well than what I'm seeing these days well in Finland. So somehow when as an investor then well it's been more and more difficult then to actually well then to find more good investment opportunities as well. So I don't know if well is it the mentality thing or mindset thing or kind of what's going on there or what's really the reason. Uh, I'd like to see more uh, and more energetic founders and well then well having real drive then to well make
R-
it happen.
Right, right. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. But usually, the good thing about Nokia's success story is that it plunged Finland into limelight. However, there are hubs like Barcelona, like
Yeah, Berlin,
Frankfurt, Berlin,
well, yeah, but the
Scandinavia.
Berlin,
Yeah,
yeah, well, yeah, Stockholm, Gothenburg,
yeah,
Copenhagen. So yeah, well, then, well, yeah, well, the cities are well also well not only inside Finland, but also then well these kind of all cities are well competing against each other also well, on European level. Estonia, Tallinn, well that well there's well actually there are probably at least if you compare to the all the number of people, then well, there are more unicorns that have actually emerged from Estonia than from Finland, uh, and now then the Latvia and Lithuania are catching up. So well, the Baltics is well still well with this well, and I've actually well I have two portfolio companies in Tallinn, so visiting that city quite often, at least what I'm feeling there is then again more energy than well Helsinki or Tampere. So I suppose well the well we who have been living in the well the traditional Nordic countries, then well we are too complacent. So well, things have been well, too well, and then the of course then the Estonians, Latvians, Lithuanians, then well they have this urge and drive then to catch up
right,
and well improve their well, standard of living.
right.
Uh, uh, but still now, well, there was actually last spring there was this well Latitude 59 conference in Tallinn. Well, and then the Venture Capital Association of Baltic countries then was then showing some statistics about so basically it was actually quite interesting figures that they were showing that kind of Estonia is saturating then, well, from 2023 to 24, then, well, the Latvia, well, number of startups, and also then the amount of investments, well, funding going into those startups, well, was actually growing fastest in Latvia.
Mhm,
Uh, Estonia was still the biggest, but it was really the growth was saturating,
mhm.
or as saturated. Then Latvia was growing, and now then Lithuania, well, is well taking off. So. Well, so let's see
Yeah.
how it goes.
What
But
about where is Luxembourg in all this?
well, well, hub for capital also, and there are a lot of well, VC funds that are registered in Luxembourg for the well, tax reasons mainly. Well, it's such a small country that well, I haven't seen really startups emerging from Luxembourg, but a lot of funding is coming from
Yes,
the
because
well, the
economy is strong and there's a lot of oil as well. Yeah.
true.
And yeah, yeah. So, what do you think is the reason behind it? Could it be the regulations or the
Well, it is, well, as far as I understand it, well, it's mostly about well, this regulation and also then the well the traditional strong banking and finance sector in Luxembourg and so but it's also well the tax regulation well definitely is well the important factor there.
yeah? I mean, overall as well in EU, the Googles and the Facebooks and the Apples they face lots of revision of
Mhm.
policies and procedures. So, do you think that could be affecting the startup environment?
Possibly, I'll probably not directly, but of
Okay.
course, then well, if well, then well, this trade war, well, well, let's see now what happens then. Well,
Yes. Yes.
well,
Yes.
with
Yes.
those tariffs, well,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
end, but of course, if that's then well, slowing down well, the economy overall and growth, then of course that will have an impact on the early stage funding as well.
Yes. That's right. Yeah, because tariffs are not going to only affect the economic activity, but it is also going to affect the policies and procedures and terms and conditions revisions
Mhm.
because Google especially used to feel very pressured, and of course the EU laws are more evolved and more cultivated, keeping in view the stability in the economy and in general, creating a balance, on societal level as well. However, in the US, the startup environment is aggressive, and the government is very conducive in creating this synergy in the technology sector. However, that's also creating a lot of course, ambitious person can go anywhere. However, the especially the investors feel restricted in context of laws and EU, because it is like, for example, you just gave me an entrepreneurship lesson, just now, when you said that I need to cut down the office cost just to make sense. You don't have to, because at the end of the day, as an investor, you have to make sure that the bottom line is more profitable. And then
Sure.
unnecessary cost is a huge area where because penny saved is basically penny earned.
Yep.
So yeah, so that I think there will be a redefinition of the the power balance in terms of the these tech giants, because essentially what happened since the days of Nokia, which is around mid 2000s until now, is that social media has take over,
Mhm.
and because of, like you just mentioned about, the drive, that is the basically driving factor for all the VCs, because they want to see that this guy is going to take the project through. He's not going to leave it halfway in between.
Exactly.
And that, but and again, when we talk about technology versus startups, so Nokia was a technology, but it wasn't a startup per se, because it was a giant all over the world. And so this startup environment has given penetration on grassroots level, and these technologies and these new ideas have gotten into everybody's hand because of these startup environments, and because of the online technology and penetrations such as social media. And that's basically the driving factor of economy these days, because attention is has become currency, and an algorithm is basically it's not the commercial law, it's the algorithm that is driving everything and switching everything. And in days of Nokia, it was probably automation, but now that automation has gone on to a grand scale, and it now is becoming into AI. And
Sure.
yeah, and whatever is the algorithm of AI, it's going to create more cohesion and more synergy and productivity in many cases, because right now everybody is looking at AI as from negative viewpoint. But for tech people like us, it is important to understand that so much repetitive work, that can be avoided, and humans can focus on more creative and more productive output
Exactly.
uh,
Exactly.
that can that can raise our overall standards to the next level.
Yep. About AI, well, then the one change that well, I've been seeing lately, or let's say, well, maybe during the last 12 months, or then, well, uh, it's probably almost every pitch deck that I get, I'm receiving these days from the founders that, hey, well, we have the funding round. Are you interested in? Uh, then AI is there, but now, unfortunately, well, AI. has a real role and real meaning in in those because there used to be then it was still some time ago, then it was so obvious that then okay, if those founders knew that the yeah, AI is the password word, so then just AI was artificially then just putting onto the deck, even though the solution itself wasn't really using it really so that it wasn't kind of just the marketing trick. But now then the more and more the AI is truly utilized and has a real meaning. Well, so that's a very healthy change. At least in my opinion.
Yes, I mean, it's all about efficiency because you see, for example, let's give a basic example because the genie of automation has come out of the bottle, but for AI, is still it's in the ghost is still in the machine. So now we can go back and review what automation gave to us.
Mhm.
I actually wrote a book called Automation versus Autocracy, in which I had predicted that somebody is going to take over automation in a way, and it's going to change the governments, and which actually Elon Musk did. Took over Twitter
Yeah.
and changed the elections result in a positive way, like for example in an impactful way. So automation has definitely improved our lives.
I'm sorry, that's what
Okay. Yeah,
the
no
rest of
problem.
the family came home, so that there
Yeah.
was some noise on the background, so just close the door. So,
Okay, yeah. So automation has, for example, for example, self checkout is a good example. It's little of a basic level, but again, somehow it has given the control into the user's hands. At the end of the day, because human beings, like for example, at McDonald's, or over here, they have removed the counter altogether. Everybody is
mm,
using the apps which has best deals, and place the mobile order and then just go and pick it,
right.
even when they're sitting inside. So that's about automation. And I think AI is also going to do the same things, where you can create a quick video with all the closed captions and all the editing done in like few moments, as compared to it takes a lot of strenuous intellectual tasks as well, not only in
Well, yeah,
languages.
but for example, this author AI or this my AI note taker seems to be actively taking notes now, now while we are
Yes.
speaking.
Yeah.
Actually, the transcripts are not too bad. Actually, that this one just took it to a test some
Yes.
time ago, and then we'll still have a kind of a the freemium version. And considering if I should then start paying for the premium version, but anyway, so yeah, but this is not the only one, of course. Well, yeah, if you use Google Meet, then Google has its own AI note taker, and so I suppose Zoom must have then something as well. But anyway,
Yeah.
just actually about the that US and EU, all the difference. Well, I don't know. Well, if you have heard or seen the joke where actually it's been going around in Europe at least that kind of the US innovates, China copies, and EU regulates.
Yes, that's exactly that's not a joke. That's truth.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that the honestly speaking, the tech laws are not so streamlined over here, and I don't know the reason. I do comedy as well, so I can take a little bit of liberty. That maybe it's the aging politicians, or I don't know what's happening, because now this time we have Elon and Mark Zuckerberg and all
Mhm.
Jeff Bezos, all these people there, but then the stock market crashed because of the tariffs. So, but again, entrepreneurship is a game of risk, and these guys can afford that kind of risk. I'm not sure if an ordinary person can take the punch of the economic jolts. But I totally agree with you. And it used to be Europe used to be the pioneer, and Japan used to be a copier, and America used to be adopter. But now I totally agree with you that it has changed. And again, it is in context of the online tech and startup tech, because in terms of vision, because if you are regulating it, that means you have a vision. You don't probably have the tech available right away. And but in context of migration, if you see all these big tech founders are migrants from Europe, maybe a generation ago. If in fact,
Mm.
in Google's terms, just very recent, first generation people. So I totally endorse that. And when you talk about AI, and you're talking about the transcription, and it's very strange that AI does not pick my, like, for example, closed captions on CapCut does not pick my accent accurately, and I have to spend a lot of time on the videos. But it's ironic because we are the one who are programming it, and
Mm.
they are not picking our accent. So, but again, it varies from Alexa to Siri to Google, to ChatGPT. So it's interesting, and it is fun to see the evolution, to see it evolving. But definitely, and the big tech and tech giants are not happy every time Europe, EU regulates, whether it is Google search, whether it is
Mm.
advertising, whether it is the apps available on the app store, because it's socially more responsible, so to say.
Yeah.
uh, and maybe it's a good thing to not be an early adopter.
Well, there are many case stories of well, basically proving that basically well the first one hasn't been the one that well, made money. So then it actually well, let's say the first or second adapter then who actually then well got rich then well thanks to well that was that the innovation so that the inventor actually and well I was witnessing well during my Nokia time then a few times but then well uh, that actually well the company was well way too early. Well, and so basically the technology maybe wasn't mature enough, or then well the market wasn't then well, ready for the technology and all the especially well I spent quite a long time well in the unit called Nokia Ventures, which was supposed to be the kind of the internal startup factory of them producing new business ideas, new businesses, but still the end all the well, all the time there was two well the business models that well made money. Well, the creating handsets and then selling those to well through a channel, well operators, mobile carriers, and then well the distributors, not directly well to consumers. Okay, we did try that as well in well in a few countries, but still most of the sales was through a channel partner, and then the other well the revenue generator was then the well the network infrastructure business, well and well then which then acquired Bell Labs or Alcatel-Lucent then at one point of time, and then now the well the well the what used to be Nokia Research Center then was then after the merger then renamed Nokia Bell Labs. So,
Yes,
but
yes.
these new ideas, what we were then all building, will then well, and there were well several acquisitions as well, but actually none of those technologies then well became well really a business, and then and then there was always the internal politics or as well, meaning that of course, well, the mobile phone division or the unit was always saying that well, well, we bring all the money, so we should get all the best resources, and then well, so why we are then wasting the resources to these risky new ideas which well are not bringing any money,
Right,
right?
right,
And then well, if that was well the or the well the influencing then the downfall perhaps, but also then well there were other reasons then why basically then well then Nokia couldn't go with or well compete against Android and iPhone then when well Google and Apple came to the all the well, that mobile handset business in big time.
right.
But
I mean,
but there,
you saw that that we are not having tariffs on Apple products, coming from China, and it's the reason because if you make an iPad in the US, it's going to cost you $13,000.
I know yeah well,
So the revolution that Nokia started, is still there because mobile has become our office, our phone, our camera, our wallet, our key, everything, so the revolution that Nokia started, and actually it was all Nordic countries, in the sense that Sony Ericsson was Ericsson initially was
mhm,
important, and Motorola and BlackBerry, so all those were important steps leading to iPhone. So because again it's the things are moving from hardware to software, because for me I don't see any difference. I mean, I have iPhone over here, and I have Google Pixel, and then I have this Samsung Galaxy,
oh,
so I mean, it's for my checking, testing my apps, and every all those things. But what I'm trying to say is that the factor of penetration, because for me this is the same iPhone. For me, this is iPhone 5 basically. Just the software is I we have no idea what Apple is doing inside. And
mhm,
how fast is it, or what is it showing, because now the processors are also made by Apple. Before, it used to be Intel. So and the pictures you take on high end cameras, they don't show as good as the on the display, that the as compared to the pictures that Apple takes. I mean, how can $4,000 camera and
yeah
a mobile phone with $1,500 mobile phone can produce better pictures? It doesn't make sense. But again, that's the grip of the software. What I'm trying to say is that even when you talk about startups compared to technology, because technology had some sort of production cost involved in terms of manufacturing, but and again moving and distribution and sales, like just mentioned that we are creating the most business, then we should get the best bang for our buck. And so again it's coming back to perception and attention and reputation, because today I think they said that perception is bigger than reality, but now perception has become two times bigger than reality, because whatever has mileage in terms of whoever gets the eyeballs is basically
yeah
the leader. Because in many cases, I still love Motorola for some odd reason. I love how they still build their phones, and they are. I love it that they are very inexpensive, and I would just have them for just using it. Is they're thin, and they're but then there is this issue of every year Android updates, and some devices cannot handle it. So every year you have to shift the entire thing in the phone. So I'm still a big fan of Motorola, and but again and also in startup culture, it's about finding ideas within, because it's all intellectual, it's becoming all not into, ironically or pun intended, intellectual property is actually, in context of startups, it has to be meaningful to people who will be using it. So going back, engineering it backwards, it's about having a big idea is not a big thing, but it's the numbers. And for example, Instagram was pre-revenue when Facebook bought it for billions of dollars, just
Mm,
based
yep.
on the number of users. So the startup economy is also driven by attention economy, as because people are now using influencers, and celebrities are buying these equities into tech products and apps and stuff, so that because they can provide that kind of mileage, and they have that kind of reputation capital, so to say. And then again, when you're downloading anything on App Store, you see how many downloads and reviews are there, and then you feel confident about it. And same goes about the shopping environment when it comes to Amazon or
Yep. Mhm.
eBay, or because it's and those reviews could be fake reviews, and in many cases I'm contacted by many companies that we're going to provide you reviews as well. I said, no, I don't want reviews, I want a user experience. So what is your view on that,
Well,
as as an investor?
well, do agree, and well, yes, well, have invested in, let's say, well, app startups, then decided actually, well, that I'm not going to do it anymore. Okay, well, since basically, well, they have been struggling, to get the visibility, to get the attention. Well, even though, so so I fully agree. It's kind of it's not about then having a best app. Well, if no one knows about it, then you don't have users. You don't have business.
Right.
And then now then lately been trying to stay away from the but still there are the app ideas or app startup pitch decks then coming frequently, but at least like I said, now the personal investment strategy
Yes.
such that I won't touch them, because
Yes.
I burned my fingers
Yes,
there,
because
that
yeah, because at the end of the day, the investor is looking at the bottom line, and in many cases, it does take. For example, in Netflix example, it took them 10 years to become hugely successful. Their share jumped big time. Same as with Amazon as well. Amazon was for like 15 years it was in loss. So, but that again, that's the kind of gamble, startup world is, and like we started where as a risk factor. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's about vision and speculation of what might work, what might not work, and ultimately, as a entrepreneur myself, I would say that it's all about the push. How far can you push it, how much sense of purpose and conviction you have, or you believe in your product, and and how it solves any XYZ problem. That's the vision. And like you mentioned, the drive is the determinant and the defining factor, so to say. So, Pasi, it was very nice talking to you. I think
quite
our 45-minute conversation will be